way that I do it may not necessarily be the way that the material does it. Okay? What you will find over time is that you will have presented to you several different ways of subnetting. What you need to do is find the way that is comfortable for you. Find the way that makes sense to you and go with that. As a matter of fact, after doing subnetting and finally getting a grip on it, if somebody else would start to present another way, or if they one of those, don't tell me, I don't want to hear it types of thing, because it'll just get me confused, okay? All right, let's first of all go back and talk about IP addresses just in general. Most of you, and I'm going to address this from the standpoint of the Cisco class, even though I brought my NT people in here because we're going over protocols right at the moment, TCP, IP being one of these protocols. But let's remember a couple of things here. You got two types of addresses that you've been concentrating on. One is your MAC address, or the physical address. The other is your IP address, or what we call the logical address. We talk about TCP/IP most, even though that's not the only protocol there, but we talk about it most because it is the protocol of the internet. Okay, your MAC address, remember, is burned in on your NIC card, or as we discovered yesterday, the NIC-MAC card. On the NIC card, at the factory, you're going to have a different and unique number for every card. The only way for you to change the physical address of a computer is actually how? Move the NIC card and replace it with another one. On the other hand, you have your IP address, or the logical address, and that is something that's set by software, set by you as the administrator, or as you will learn later on by software such as DHCP, which will assign IP addresses. And many of you will get into networking, and we'll go over that kind of stuff as we go along. My class will be doing that next week. Okay? All right, now, the IP address in relationship to the computers and to the network, the internet specifically. The logical address is how we get to the computers. For most of you, if I said to you, go to the Microsoft site, what would you do? You'd start up your browser and you'd type www.microsoft.com. That's what we call a domain name, okay? That's an easy name for us to remember. But in reality, where that's going, and a lot of times if you'll look in the bottom left-hand corner of your browser, you will see it pop up with an IP address. Now remember that the IP address is in the form, what we call, and what we look at the most is what we call dotted decimal format. It may look something like this. Okay? Dotted decimal. There are here what we call 4 sections. You'll hear them referred to as octets. 4 octets. And the reason for this is that if we convert this to binary, and I'm not doing an exact change here because I can't do that quickly, okay? But if I looked at this in binary form, it may look something like this. Okay? So it may look something like that. Dotted decimal is a whole lot easier for me to remember. Okay? Binary form, however, is important to the computer, as we'll see in a moment when we talk about the subnet mask. Now, 4 octets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully I have 8 numbers here. Somebody always needs to check behind me and make sure that I haven't put too many 1s and 0s within there, okay? We get a little excited. Alright, 4 octets of numbers. If we take and we total these numbers up, they should match in the binary form. Again, please don't do this on me right now, or if you're going to do it, correct me so that I can put the right number up there, because I just did that very quickly. Okay? Now, when we look at IP a range of IP addresses, and they fall into several classes, what we call classes. We have Class A's, Class B's, and Class C's. There also are Class D's and Class E's. We don't deal with those much, however, just to simply discuss them and talk about them. This is a Class A, Class B, Class C. Different classes. Now these numbers correspond to that first octet. Any IP address that I see, if the first number falls between these two numbers right here, then it is a Class A. So you simply look at the value of that first number. And if it falls within this range, you can specify it as being a Class A. Any IP address whose number falls within this range is a Class B. And anything that falls within this range is a Class C. Okay? Again, all you do when you look at an IP address, look at that first number, determine where it is here, and you'll know which class that it belongs to. And again, what you need to remember, and I'll show you in a moment, is how to get to those numbers without just strictly doing a memorization thing. Okay, and we'll look at that in a moment. Let me address, however, that there are Class D's and Class E's. Class D's, and I may have these backwards, one is reserved for research, and the other is reserved for multicasting. Okay? They're not ones that we can use. So we don't do and we don't talk about those. Okay? Now, in the real world, as we are now, we do not have any Class A's left. They have all been assigned. They're all taken up. Basically, the same is true for Class B's. The only thing that's left out there are Class C's. Okay? Now, some of you may have heard that IP addressing is about to be revamped. And that's because we're running out of IP addresses. We need to remember that we are, in the United States, very wired. We can hook up almost everything. We were just looking at this little guy right here. We can scan barcodes for any product and pop straight to that internet site for that particular company. However, we are not the only country in this world. China, Japan, Australia, Africa, all those different places are nowhere near as wired as we are. When they get online and start to explode like we have, this set of range of addresses is not going to work, because we're almost out now. So they're going to be revamping this, and we will all have some new learning to do in the future. But for right now, this is the way it is, and we've got to see how and understand how to do this. Okay? All right. Let's talk a little bit about Class A's. I'm going to throw a couple of things out at you. First of all, you would never assign a Class A address with a 0. So even though 0 is there, we would never use it. Okay? 127 is a special address. Does anybody know what that is? Not broadcast. Loopback. It's your loopback address. Okay? And what that is it's reserved so that, and I'm not sure how much in your system, because I can't remember semester 1. But remember, in your NIC card, that there's that little loopback section, and what the loopback allows you